Hey, so in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to start to develop the HTML aspect of our portfolio template page. And we are going to use the HTML5 tags that were taught to us in this section. Okay, those tags being header, nav, section, and footer. We're going to use those 4 elements to develop our page layout. Now I will tell you, at first, it's not going to look good at all, okay? It's just straight HTML, and we are not going, in this video, we're not going to apply any CSS, okay? We're not going to do any cascading style sheets. We're not going to style it at all. So it will just have a very basic look. But by the end, we'll have a pretty nice little portfolio template page that we can then use to create all of the pages of the portfolio. And there are 3 pages of the portfolio required. Okay, so let's get to this. So I have gone into my Module 2 folder and I opened the T3 website web page. Okay, so we're going to come in here. You're going to want to change the name from Fantastic Student. Although you are a fantastic student, I can't tell one fantastic student from another without you changing your name. So we're going to go ahead and change the name. You'll change it to your name, not my name. Okay. And the assignment name is the portfolio template page. Okay. Actually, let's just call this portfolio, and then we're going to call it home page. How about that? Okay, we're going to have a home page, and then today's date. Okay, so that's the 13th, 2020. All right. Okay, so we have our comment fleshed out. Now we need to change our title. We are going to call the title homepage, or better yet, we're just going to call it home. Okay, most of the time we don't use terminology like page. We're just going to call it home. Okay, so we've got that. Now that we have that, I'm going to save it to the right location. I want to save it in my final project. Okay. So I don't want to save it as T3-FLAST. Instead, I'm going to call it index. You do not need to put your name on this because when you submit all of this, it's going to be submitted as a whole package, a zipped folder that you will submit with your name on it, right? So in this instance, all of the pages that we're creating for the final portfolio, you do not have to have FLAST in it, okay? So we're going to call it index. I'm going to pull down here on the all files. We're going to set it to all files, and we're going to go save. Okay. Now I will actually, let's come in here. Let's just look at what that looks like. Hello. I mean, it's not going to look like much of anything, but at least we'll have it open. I'm going to close this one. So we can work here in Notepad, and then we can come in here when we make changes and refresh to see them happening at the same time. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is in here in the body, I'm just going to add our HTML5 tags that we were introduced to in this section. So we have the header. Okay, we have an opening and closing header. I'm going to give a couple spaces. We have the nav, an opening and closing nav, a couple spaces. We've got a section. Opening and closing section, and then finally we have a footer, opening and closing footer. Okay, clean this up a little, and I'm going to go Control S. You can also do File, Save. It's just one extra step. I prefer Control S. Okay. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to work to flesh out each of these and fill them in with the information that will be there. Well, most of the information, not all of it. Essentially, we're going to fill in the information that is going to be on each of the 3 pages that we need. Okay, so that means the header image, it's going to be needed on all 3 pages. The navigation links, they're going to be needed on all 3 pages. A page heading is going to be needed on all 3 pages, and then a footer with an email link is going to be needed on all 3 pages. What's not going to be included in this template page is what's actually on the page, the information that is, that is the page, the content of the page. We are not going to fill that part in. We're just going to fill the parts in that need to be included on every single one. Okay, so we're going to start with the header. I was working on this and I was like, why is my image not showing? And I kept getting frustrated. It's not showing. It's not showing. And then it dawned on me, my image is a transparent background, which it's supposed to be, but my text is white because my background color is a darker color, right? But right now I don't have a background color. So when I put this image with a transparent background and white text on a white background, you can't see it. The image is there, but you can't see the text. So for now, I'm not going to do that because it's a little confusing. So instead, I'm just going to add a little information here to myself as a note, what I have to do. So I'm going to just put a couple of p tags here, right? And then I'm just going to give myself a little note to add image. Okay, so I'm going to add image after I apply the CSS. Okay, so for that, the header is done. Okay, for now, literally, that's all we're doing for the header. Okay, so I'm going to come in here into the nav, and basically, I'm just going to write the text that will become links. So the link names that we need to have are home. I like that straight upward bar to separate them. We're going to have home, we're going to have portfolio, and we're going to have reflection. Those are the 3 pages you will have. You will have a home page, you will have a portfolio page, and you will have a reflection page. You don't really need to worry about what is going to be on those pages right now. That's going to be finished in Module 7, the final project. Okay? So for now, the nav area is okay. We're going to come back to it in a second, but for now, it's okay. So here in this section, so the main body area, we need to have a header, a heading, okay, page heading. I'm going to make it a H1. And I'm just, for now, it's just going to have really generic text. It's just going to say page heading, okay? So basically, when it comes time to do the work, in the Module 7, where you develop each of the pages, that's where you're going to change the, the page heading name. And it would likely be home, portfolio, and reflection, right? Because it would match up with the links that you have on each page, okay? So besides that, I'm going to put this on another line. And besides that, I'm just going to add just a little note to myself that we're going to add some page content here, okay? So with that, the section is good. And then finally, the last thing I have here is in the footer. I might find a server-side include for you guys in a next video, and we'll come back to it. But for now, the only thing that's going to be in there is just going to be an email link to contact me. Okay, so I'm just going to say contact me. And we're going to come in just a second and we're going to make these email links. Okay, but what I wanted to do is I just wanted to flesh each of these HTML5 tags out for you: header, nav, section, footer. And then I wanted to show you what it looks like in the web, in a web page. Okay, so we're going to refresh it over here. Now that I've saved the index page, I'm going to refresh it, and it's really not very fantastic looking, right? You think, well, what's all the big hubbub about HTML5? It really doesn't look all that great. True. It's really a combination of those HTML5 tags and the CSS that goes along with it that really transforms the way this web page is going to look. So right now, it's just very, very basic. So don't really worry too much about, how it looks. Just make sure you have this information presented. Okay. So now the last thing we're going to do here is we are actually going to develop the links that we will need to have. When we're done developing the links, that's all that we're doing in this part of the assignment. Okay. So I'm going to come in here to the nav section, and I'm going to add an A tag around home. I'm going to add one, opening and closing around portfolio, and I'm going to add an opening and closing around reflection. Okay, so I'm just going to say I'm going to create a link, and I'm going to point it to a page. I'm going to point, the home page actually points to index. Okay, so that's all there is to it. It does not open in another window. We do not use the target equals _ blank, because since it's pages within a web page, we do not want it to open, outside in a different web browser. We want it to open over top of one another. So we're going to just have this, an anchor tag, an A tag. We're going to have the hypertext reference attribute here. Sorry, lost my train of thought there for a minute. And we're going to point it to the index page. Okay. We close up the A tag around the word home, and that link is done. Now I'm going to come here and I'm going to do essentially the same thing, except this time around, I'm going to actually create the name of a page, portfolio.html, which we have not created yet. Okay? If I clicked this link in the page, it would give me a broken link, because right now we don't have a portfolio page. But don't worry about that. Once we finalize the template, and when we finalize the template and it looks exactly the way we want it to look, then we're going to save it in all the formats that we need. So we'll have the index page, which will look fantastic, and then we'll save it as portfolio, and we'll save it as reflection, and then all the links will work. Okay? Come here, we do the same thing for reflection. Okay. Close that up. If I save this, refresh, voila, they are all links. But like I said, this portfolio and this reflection won't work because right now those do not exist. And don't make them yet. It's not anything that we need to do. Right now we just work on index. When index is perfect and pretty, then we make portfolio and reflection. Okay, so let's do the last thing here. We're going to do this email link. So we're going to add the A tag. We're going to use href, F. And then we use the keyword mail to, colon, and then my email. You're going to use your own email, but this is mine. If I can remember what it is. Okay. And then at the end, okay. So with that, I save that, I refresh, and voila. Contact me is an email. If I click it, oh, it opened over in the wrong window, but if I click it, it opens my email application, and it puts in the to address. It's to Rachel Boylan. Okay? So with that, we are done with this part. I know it's ugly, right? Takes us back to our very beginning days of HTML. Not to worry though. The very next video that we do, we will really start to transform this template, this portfolio template page. Okay? And I will have that video shortly.